Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. This is Susie Church Brown here with Healthy Expat Parent. I'm super excited to have you listening. I am sharing a story with you, maybe a story about what not to do and, all of those warnings that you get told about or read about. So a few weeks ago, our house was broken into. We live in at a post that is not rated high for security issues. And so I think we had a good sense of complacency, not as in good as in useful, but a large sense of complacency, a false sense of security. We played a large role in what happened. Of course, it's always good to understand where you are in the whole blame game. So just putting it out there that we are not 100% without fault in the situation. But let me back up a little. So we've been overseas now for, 25 years. We have certainly had our fair share of situations that are fodder for RSO stories and briefings. But on that, I just wanted to say that RSO teams across the world that we've had experience with have been, to the most part, outstanding. And I know that they have a very different purview. Their job is to keep us safe, of course, but they have so many different mandates that they are responsible for. So they have to put certain security measures in place to help kind of backstop, because if there's even up to 3 or 4 RSOs per post, they can't stand watch at all of the houses, right? So there have to be certain situations, certain parameters of your house, et cetera, that are in place to help keep you and your stuff and your family secure. When you get to a post, you will be able to take part, you will be responsible to take part in a security briefing that will be specific to the situations at post. There are, of course, the general things that are in all of the security briefings, be smart, don't carry large amounts of cash, be aware of your surroundings, etc. But every post has their unique little quirks that you have to also be responsible for. In particular, for example, here at this post, which is the same at many other posts, but women in particular do have to be very wary and careful. I like to ride my bike to and from work, and I have certainly had more than my fair share of aggressive approaching situations with men on the road as I am waiting at a light, for example, or what have you. Anyway, it's very important to pay attention to and pay attention to the briefings and be responsible for your surroundings, your home, and your family's surroundings as well. Your house should have things like grills and gates and locks, and you will probably have an alarm system, and you will have a safe haven and that sort of thing. And it's really important for you to know what these things are and how to use them, and then properly put all of the mechanisms in place in order for these particular details of your house to actually be effective. So, for example, if you have grates on your house, which I believe most embassy houses around the world do, you should lock them if they have a door that opens to and from. And you should also, for example, lock your windows and make sure that they can't be easily opened just by stick in and sliding them open, which we did not do. So this is where we are responsible for our own circumstance. The other thing that is available to Foreign Service officers and their adult family members is to participate in a FACT course. I actually don't know what FACT stands for, but essentially this is a week-long training where you go and you get to participate in active practice scenario responses, where you learn how to respond to emergency situations in your vehicle, or if you're in a carjacking situation, or if you are in a fire, or some active invader or active intruder sorts of situations. There's also a first aid component, or there used to be. I understand that may or may not be still part of it. Anyway, this is all available to you as a officer of the U.S. government to help safeguard yourself, your situation, your family overseas. So make sure that you learn more about these things and take part as you have time available. So as I said, we have in our time overseas been a part of other situations that have resulted in RSO briefing fodder. Certainly not because we wanted to be, but life happens, and sometimes, unfortunately, these sorts of situations also happen. Our very first post was a West African country, and this was our Niger was our first tour, and it's a kind of post. It's a little harder, and the RSO that was supposed to be coming actually curtailed. He quit the Foreign Service rather than come to Niger with his family. So that kind of underscores what kind of post it is. But we loved it. We had a great time. After the gentleman curtailed, we had what I was calling the RSO of the month sort of situation, where every 4 to 6 weeks we'd get a new RSO to fill in the gap until our new RSO could be found and properly trained and brought to post. And during one of those temporary RSOs, there was a guys' night out sort of evening. And unfortunately, people were not necessarily as aware of their surroundings as they probably should have been. And they were in a part of town that maybe they shouldn't have been after having consumed a large amount of alcohol. And they got themselves into a situation that turned into a carjacking that unfortunately ended up with two of the officers being hit by bullets, one of whom passed away. So that was sort of a situation that no one wants to be a part of, but it certainly, I think the whole post responded extraordinarily well. Second post, my friend and I used to walk on the beach in the mornings with our dogs, and both of the dogs were very large. And so it wasn't like we were ever worried about our circumstances. But there was one time when we happened to cross a dead body on the beach. Tanzania, though it is a coastal country, many of the people there are fishermen and they don't know how to swim. And unfortunately, that was probably the situation with this poor gentleman, and he washed up on the shore. And so when you are out for a jog and you find a dead body, then that turns into a much longer ordeal than you ever imagined it could be. Same post, same dog. We were walking we used to walk the dog in the mornings, my husband and I, and cup of coffee each, dog, and we'd wander around for a while, let the dog do its business, kind of talk about the day, get ready. This was pre-kid, right? So it was the sort of circumstance that you had all the time in the world to enjoy the morning coffee and the morning walk. And we happened across a group of young men, and I still, being the mother of men, of boys, I do think that the more boys you get together, the lower the IQ tends to drop. But in particular, there was 5 men. They were out. They had been out on a I'm assuming a burglary spree, and they hadn't been especially successful apparently. And they saw us, 2 white people, walking their dog in the morning and assumed that we would have something that they could take. The thing about Tanzanians is they're very afraid of dogs, and so I slipped my hand with my wedding ring and engagement ring under the dog's collar. Who, if any of you are listening and you remember my dog, he was very large but very afraid of everything that was loud. So not the world's best guard dog, but he, though trembling, managed to save my rings because I was holding onto the collar, and I kept telling the man, I can't let go of the dog. The dog will attack you if I let go of the dog. Unfortunately, they did get Daniel's wedding ring, and I did not know at the time that they had a screwdriver on his neck, which probably my screaming and yelling for help did not help the tense situation. That same post, so apparently our second post was full of stories to feed into RSO briefings. That same post, we did get our house broken into as well. But we had set the alarm, and the alarm went off, woke up the guard that was of course sleeping on the property, and nothing came of it. They just broke into the house. So anyway, we had several uneventful tours, and now we are here in our post that, as I said before, is not at all rated high for security threats. We do have obviously locks on the house and grates and alarms, but coming from posts that were much higher rated for threat than here, we kind of fell into sort of a false sense of security, and maybe we had a little bit of Superman syndrome where, we couldn't be touched because we live in this neighborhood that's super nice, and bad things don't ever happen in this neighborhood, which is literally what everybody responds with when I tell them that our house was broken into. Oh, but how can that be? You live in Colombo 7. Nothing happens like that in Colombo 7. And I'm like, yeah, but it did. Anyway, so lulled into this false sense of security. The other factor here is that we have teenage boys, right? And half of their friends have keys. And we didn't really fall into the practice of setting the alarm, though we did turn on the door chime. So like part of the alarm system has these sensors on all of the windows and doors. And so when one opens, you hear a ding dong sort of noise. So this was when it did happen. So I'll just briefly tell you about what happened. We did hear the door chime go off because the boys are not allowed any longer to turn off the alarm. There was a point where they didn't want to bother us or wake us up, so they would turn off the alarm or the door chime. I did hear the door chime, and then I thought about getting up because I don't sleep very well any longer. But I kind of laid there and rolled around for a bit, and then I got up about an hour later, maybe an hour and a half later. Went downstairs, and oddly, one of the doors leading out of the laundry room was open, and I thought it was the cat because our little boy cat likes to pick at things, and then he'll open doors and such. Like he loves to take off the little toe guard underneath the cupboard in the bathroom. He loves to open doors. Half the time, kitchen cupboards are open. Like he gets a little bored at night, I think, so he just wants to investigate. Anyway, so did the laundry, did the coffee, fed the cats, opened the doors to the porch. The week prior, I had done all that, and then I heard the door chime, and one of my kiddos' buddies walked in the door. So, I'm telling you, we have teenagers coming in and out at all times. So Anyway, kind of chatting, starting the day, getting breakfast ready, and we start noticing things are a little weird, and things were moved away from a particular window, and then we realized that all of the cash is gone from the downstairs area. And then I realized that my pens and my ID, because I had everything, I was gonna go and lead a workout, and so I had the bag already, and all of the things from my bag were laid neatly on the dresser, including my embassy ID, but the bag itself was gone, as was my speaker, as was my hat, my sport cap. And then start looking around, and we realize that Daniel's money clip is empty, but the money clip is there. His all of his cash is gone. We have a stack of a smaller bill here that we use all the time for the local tuk-tuks, because negotiating with them is like an art of aggravation. So we just pay them this overblown price, and then you don't have to negotiate. All of them gone. All of the little grocery money gone. I come upstairs, and the money that had been that I had from my mom, just small bills, but totaling to just around $1,000 gone. But it was like in the back of my drawer, upstairs in my desk area. And then I kind of glanced around, and I saw that my mother's handbag, which I'm keeping for purely sentimental reasons, empty, and her reading glasses and her checkbook were gone. I don't know why you take her checkbook, because the account is closed, and here in this country checks mean nothing, but nonetheless it was gone. Throughout the day we started to realize other things were gone, but most notably no electronics. Like he had to move telephones and iPads and computers out of the way in order to access the kitchen grocery money. My sports shoes were gone. Anyway, long story short, long story longer. He had come in over the wall. He had been in the house for probably about an hour and a half. And he took a shirt, he took my sports shoes, he came in barefoot, took my sports shoes, probably took other smaller bits of clothing, probably realized he had too much to carry, so he took my sport bag, my sling bag, and my hat to look a little different. And then he was most likely in the house when I woke up, and was doing the laundry, and had probably just scooched out. He went over the fence, according to the camera footage, probably about 15 minutes after I was downstairs already. So needless to say, feel a little scared in my own house. I feel intimidated to go downstairs first. I feel I like double and triple check all the locks now. We lock everything, which I know we should have done before too, but now it feels like we're doing it because we're afraid rather than because that's what we should have done in the first place. I'm very angry. I feel like this man has completely compromised my sense of calm and my sense of home. And I also feel very guilty because of what we allowed, my complacency allowed to happen to the family. I mean, this man was in the house for a long time. The boys had just come home because it was the evening of a school event. And so according to the cameras that saw him come over the fence into the house, they just came home 30 minutes prior to his coming onto our property. So what would have happened had they not been in their rooms? Maybe they were even awake when he was in the house walking around. What would have happened had they gone downstairs? Maybe they did go downstairs and hid. And what would have happened, right? So I just feel a sense of parental guilt. You know, and you know, this whole like, well, you live in Colombo 7. How could this possibly have happened in Colombo 7? That's the thing, right? Like we are, especially when we're overseas, we fall into that category of haves. We have stuff. He didn't want to hurt us, but he wanted our stuff. I know in other countries, the sense, the divide between haves and have-nots is much greater, and they are very aggressive about wanting your stuff. I mean, here this gentleman was, I use that term very loosely, clearly, but like he left all of our stuff. I mean, and he very neatly lined everything up. All of my pens, all of my chapstick, my cold medicine, all of it like just lined up neatly. So he was, to have been in our home for as long as he was quite polite. I don't know, maybe he even sat down and had a drink. Like he was here so long, and it just feels like, what if that happens again? I feel like he could very well have come up with ideas for how to get back in and take larger things like TVs and other things that are not traceable. You know, phones, computers, those are traceable. You can use a find my device sort of situation and find your items. He took my speaker because it's a regular Bluetooth speaker, right? It's not something that can be traced. But earbuds, phones, iPads, computers, these could all be traced. TVs, not so much. Anyway, the point of this is partly to share my story and just to, you know, just to illustrate and underscore that your security team, your security officer team is not there to scare you. They're there to illustrate what you can do, what you should do to safeguard yourself and your stuff. And they are there to help support you and your family to be as safe as possible, but to enjoy places. Don't be scared. Don't live in fear. Get out of your house, enjoy your town, enjoy your city, enjoy your country, but be smart about it and make wise decisions and take care of yourself, take care of your family. And I hope that listening to this is helpful to you to understand that, yeah, crap really does happen. It really, really does. But don't stick your head in the sand, and don't play Superman, and understand that you are 100% able to protect yourself and to advocate for yourself and to ensure your safety and still have a really, really, really great time overseas and stateside. Anyway, thanks for listening. Really appreciate you tuning in. And I will have hopefully a much happier topic next time. Have a great day.